Hey everybody, Jim Ingersoll here. How you doing? It's good to see everybody. It's good to be hanging out with you guys again. And I want to mention, I just got this notice yesterday that we got named by FeedSpot as the #1 real estate podcast you must follow in 2020. I don't know where they came up with this, how they determined that, but you can check it out. You can Google it, you'll find it. #1. Podcast to follow in 2020. So for real estate. So it's good to be hanging out with you guys. I'm going to do a series on wholesaling. I've got a lot of people that seem to want free wholesale training, and I'm going to do it in podcast format and also on our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Investing Now Network, or just Google my name, Jim Ingersoll, because if you go to YouTube, you'll also see the PowerPoints. So I'm going to do a screen share in just a minute. And you won't be looking at me while I do this one, because I want you to see the slides. And this is going to be like a 3 or maybe 4-part blog, podcast training series where I'm going to give away for free, total free, because I like to give training on how to wholesale houses. And today is like the foundation. Like, how do you get started? How does the concept work? And then the next one will be step 2, which is connecting with motivated sellers. Do any of my followers need motivated sellers? Yes, we all do. They're in high demand. And every great deal starts right there. Thanks everybody for making us #1, which I was shocked and blown away by. Thanks for everybody who came to Dealmaker Live 2020 and had an amazing time in Richmond. It's good to see you guys. Enjoy this segment, this series I'm putting together just for you guys on how to wholesale houses. You guys that are in Virginia, I'm hoping that you pick up some tips. You go connect with some sellers, and you can do the assignment right to me, because I am a cash buyer as well. So hopefully that works out. So I'm going to do a screen share here in just a second, and we are going to keep on rolling. Thanks for your patience there. All right, so how do you start wholesaling houses? Again, this is part of our Elite Investor Series, I'm calling it, where landlords, wholesalers, flippers, and investors collide, and they come together and get deals done. That's how you make deals happen. So how do you start getting yourself positioned to be an elite wholesaler? What are the pieces that need to come together? I mean, you can do wholesaling if you only need a couple of deals a year. If you're doing a part-time starting off, that's an easy way to start. Or if you're looking to scale up your business and do dozens and dozens of transactions, that's no problem either. The model just plain works. When I left corporate America almost 15 years ago, this is what I used to escape my 9-to-5 personally. And in my first full-time year of doing wholesaling, I wholesaled 120 houses, which sounds amazing, but it's a tremendous amount of work to do that many deals. So whether you're just starting off, you're looking for motivated sellers, you're looking to create some assignment fees, you can get into this wholesaling with basically no money down, because you're basically selling your contract as an assignment. And so that's why so many real estate investors start off with wholesaling. So there's basically 4 steps. It's a very easy process, guys. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD or whether you're just beginning. It doesn't matter. If you've got an 8th grade education or a PhD, or you got 100 years in corporate America or none, or you're 18 or you're 28 or 58, everybody can wholesale. Here are the steps. #1, you got to find a motivated seller. Every great real estate deal connects with a motivated seller. Now, you may connect with that motivated seller through a realtor, a pocket listing, maybe through a wholesaler, or maybe you're going to learn to find your brand new deals that you find direct to that seller. A motivated seller is somebody who's got an urgent need to sell, that's willing to trade equity for speed of sale, selling it as is, and without commission and that kind of thing. So they're going to trade like equity in that house to allow you to buy it below market value, okay? And there's one very basic mathematical formula that you can learn very easily. Everybody can learn it, no matter what your educational level is. It's very easy. So I'm going to go through that with you. But basically, it's people that have either inherited a house, maybe they've gone through divorce, so it could be in probate, it could be a burned out landlord, one of my personal favorites. or a myriad of other situations that have put them into a need to buy or sell their house, like the one in the picture that you're looking at right now. That house likely needs a whole bunch of work and is probably a beater-upper, fixer-upper, we call them. And so it isn't going to likely go to a realtor that's going to try to put that on the MLS and get top dollar. So it could be a burned out landlord, somebody who inherited it, maybe somebody who just didn't have money to keep it up through the years or whatever. We're going to go through motivated sellers and how to find them in part 2. So find the seller, number 1. Number 2, bring a contract or a real estate agreement like this one. And your real estate agreement will spell out the conditions of the sale and the agreement. And it'll also state things like that you're buying the house as is, that the seller doesn't need to make any updates. There's no survey, no listing agreement, no for sale sign, no open house, no updates, no upgrades, no banks, no appraisals, underwriting, very fast, very simple closing. Now, once you've got that, now you've got the motivated seller, you have a piece of paper that's your contract. Now what do? Now you leverage your buyer's list, okay, or your buyer's community, as I like to call it. And what you do is you find out who in your network of buyers is the best buyer for that house right there that you're looking at. Who is it? Who do you know that's in your buyer's community that's looking to buy in that area and for that price point? Then all you do is you fill out a one-page assignment, just like the one you're looking at there. And basically it says the assignor agrees to receive and the assignee agrees to pay in full the said assignment consideration on or before the closing date. So that means they basically buy your contract. You're not selling a house. You're not a realtor. You're not a broker. You're not an agent. You're basically acting as the principal in the deal. You have a contract that binds your equitable interest, and you're going to sell your contract to another investor. And I got a picture of Bo here on my website, on my YouTube, as you guys will see. Bo Eckstein's in San Francisco, and I thought he'd look great on my slide. Bo, if you're listening, thanks for letting me use your smiling face on that slide. So in this case, you found a motivated seller. You wrote up a one or two page agreement to buy the house. You assign it to your end buyer, which in this case is Bo, okay? So basically, it allows you to make money on houses you don't own without money of your own in the deal, other than your earnest money deposit, and make money on houses you control but don't own. It's like an option, and you can actually use an option contract, and I recommend that. I think it's a good way to go. So it could be a house like this one in the picture. Does that look like a beautiful house in a cul-de-sac? Not really. It's a beater. It's a fixer-upper that needs a whole lot of work. It's a perfect house for somebody maybe who wants to come in and flip it, or maybe somebody who wants to be the landlord. And I'm going to talk to you, I think in part 3 of this series, about segmenting your buyer's community into landlords and flippers, okay? Because they both buy differently with different criteria and different amounts of repairs, okay? So you need to know who is buying what and what their end game is. So why do I like wholesaling for beginners? Well, number one, it allows you to get out there into the street and hustle and grind and make offers without very much risk at all, very little risk. And it allows you to learn the really important skill of becoming a great discount home buyer. I think it's important you become a great discount home buyer. It allows you to understand contracts, how they're worded, what the clauses in there that are important to you, and allows you to get comfortable with that. When I first started wholesaling, I was uncomfortable with contracts. I didn't know how to talk to sellers. I didn't understand how to build rapport. And I really struggled for a few months, 3 to 4 months at least, when I first started wholesaling. Before I started wholesaling in volume, those first 2 or 3 deals were really, really rough. But then once I got the hang of it and I got everything in sync, it was like starting with a really small snowball. When I lived up in Western New York in the winter, we'd start with a tiny little snowball and start rolling it all over the yard, and all of a sudden I'd have a snowman. And that's how wholesaling goes. You might struggle for a little while, but then you're going to get good at it. It also teaches you to structure deals, coordinate closings, build your real estate team, like with your title company or your lawyer. And it allows you to make money in weeks, not in months. I think that's important. If you're looking to leave your job or create income pretty quickly, wholesaling is a way to do it. So those are the reasons I like starting with wholesaling. Now, what is wholesaling? Wholesaling means you're going to buy a house low and you're going to sell it low. You're not going to buy a house, fix it up, and sell it for top dollar like flipping houses or HGTV type thing. This isn't Christina on the Coast or Chip and Joanna. You're buying a cheap beater, fixer-upper house, really as low as you can, and then selling it for a margin higher. That is your assignment fee that you're going to make. And then your end buyer is going to fix it up and either rent it, or they're going to be Chip and Joanna or Christina on the Coast type thing, right? And you're going to make money in the middle, not by selling the house, guys. I'm going to keep repeating this. You're selling your contract via an assignment. Typically, you're going to make between $5,000 and $75,000, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Jim, that's a huge range. Well, it can be whatever the number is that you're working on. Like if you're in LA, you might have a number that's a lot bigger than that. And if you're in Ohio or Indiana or Cleveland or somewhere, maybe your numbers are tighter. So it depends on the deal. Again, you're going to be the wholesaler. You're like the deal connector. You're going to pull the deal together via a structure, via your contracts. And the cool thing about wholesaling is it works for all the different asset classes of real estate. I personally have wholesaled single family homes. I've wholesaled land. I've wholesaled commercial buildings. I've wholesaled apartment complexes. I've wholesaled a laundromat, a parking lot, and everything in between that spectrum, okay? So I know it can be done. It can be attached housing, detached housing, a condo, a townhome, whatever your imagination can dream up. And again, it's control without ownership. So here's how it works. Step one, find a motivated seller. And in part 2 of this training, I'm going to show you how to do that. So be looking for that to hit YouTube and my podcast soon. How do you find a motivated seller in a really hot market? Well, people are still dying. They're still getting divorced. Stuff's still going through probate. And we still have slumlords out there needing to sell their houses. So there are still deals out there, guys. You just got to hustle, grind, and find them through persistency and creating leads that come to your phone so you can connect, okay? And I'm going to show you some ways to do that. And once you've got them on the phone, then you've got to understand the ARV. The ARV is the after repair value. That's the comp, okay? That means what is it going to be worth all fixed up, all in, really nice, not as a rundown fixer-upper, but as a beautiful house when you're done. And then you got to understand like about how much does it need in repairs. And the ARV and the repairs are a little tricky to come up, and I'll show you how, give you some tips on how to pull those and get those done. You're going to learn to negotiate, which is a great skill to get. All of this will position you to be a discount home buyer. That's my goal for you. Become a great discount home buyer. It's a skill that you will make a lot of money with. Here's how the formula works, and I'm going to go through this again in future parts on this series of wholesaling houses. Basically, it's your offer, your max acceptable offer will equal the ARV times 0.7 minus your rehab budget, okay? Now that 0.7 varies a little bit around the country. 0.7 is difficult to get in this market, by the way. So depending where you're at, maybe that's 0.75, maybe it's even up to 0.8 if you're like in Southern California or San Diego or San Francisco. But that allows you to buy the house, create a margin, and then also subtract out your assignment fee. So it's 0.7 times the ARV minus your rehab, minus your profit, which is your assignment fee, and that's what you can offer. All right, so that's your motivated seller. That's how you calculate your offer, and I'm going to go through more of that in the next part of this series. Number 2 is you sign a contract. And the terms of that contract are really important. It defines how you're going to buy the house as is, pay cash and all of that. And it also has to give you the right to assign your contract. It's important in your agreement with the motivated seller that you have a clause in there that states that this is an assignable contract. It's very important. And I recommend that you're upfront with the seller and tell them that you plan to assign the contract, okay? And you're going to assign it to one of your one of your buyers on your buyers list. Be upfront with them. Also have contingencies into your contract. A contingency I like to use is a contingency based on like buyer's partner approval. And in your contract too, you got to cover things like, how are you going to get people in and out of the house to see it? Okay. You got to have access to the house for your team. Okay. And for your buyer's list. So you got to cover all those things in your contract. Then once you've got the house, you've got the contract, then you take that out and you go out to your network or to your buyer's list, your buyer's community, as I like to call it, and you find the right buyer that's going to be able to pay you cash and close on time with as little hassle as you possibly can, and maximizing the amount of your assignment. And this will typically go to either a flipper or a landlord. And basically, you're just going to sign an assignment contract, okay? And if you guys have questions, comments, whatever, just leave them right there in YouTube. Go ahead, leave them on my Facebook page in our group at Real Estate Investors Success, or wherever you're watching this. And I'll get back to you guys and help you through what your questions and comments are as well. Then basically, you take the contract, you take the assignment, and you send them to closing with your lawyer or your title company. And then at closing with an assignment, it's super easy. But later in this course, I'm going to go through simultaneous closing and double closings because they're a little more complicated. But with an assignment, you don't even have to show up for closing. You don't have to send any money to closing to pay for the house. Yeah, closing 2 days or a day after when it records at the courthouse, your title company or your lawyer should just cut you a check for the $5,000 to $75,000. It could be to your LLC, it can be to you personally, however you're doing it. Always recommend to use LLCs and trusts. And it's that easy. That's the 4 steps. Find a motivated seller, write a contract, assign your contract, basically selling it, and then go to closing and collect your payday in weeks, not in months. So you connect with a motivated seller, and then you sell your contract to a cash buyer. You profit in the middle, buying low, selling low, and away you go. It's that easy. Buy low, sell low, and away you go. Okay? You can do this. Everybody watching this video could do this. I like wholesaling because it's really the quickest pathway to creating some income. Very little bit amount of work, risk rather, because you don't have to deal with contractors, tenants, toilets, dumpsters, permits, asbestos, mold, all that good stuff that we run into. And it can be scaled, guys. I used to do a lot of volume. It can be scaled, so you can keep it low volume, or you can go high volume, and it's easy to learn and it's easy to earn. I have confidence in you, and I hope you do as well. It'll allow you to build your team and learn to do deals. I'm going to skip this case study right here and go to this one. This is a house that I wholesaled a few years ago. It's a house that I got that was for sale by owner. I bought one house from a for sale by owner sign, and the person I bought it from referred me to this seller. I love referrals. Oh, always keep that referral network juiced up and ready. So this call came in, and I got this house under contract from my lead generation. We paid $171. I sold it to my end buyer for $220. Well, you can see what my profit in the middle on this was, $49,000. So that's how easy it is. Find a motivated seller, find somebody in your buyer's community that's willing to buy it from you, assign your contract, go to closing, and collect a check. What is your question on wholesaling? Leave it in the comments now. Hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Leave me a review if you're listening on iTunes. Please, pretty please, leave me a review. If you're not already part of our elite investor group on Facebook, come on over to Real Estate Investors Success Facebook group. Ask your questions there, interact, post your deals. It's all about positioning yourself to become that elite investor, the deal maker, where landlords, wholesalers, flippers, and investors all meet up and help each other throughout the year. That is part 1 of wholesaling. Watch for part 2. You guys remember what I said part 2 is? Motivated sellers. In every great real estate deal, whether you're a landlord, a flipper, or a wholesaler, starts with a motivated seller. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. I really greatly appreciate you guys, and thanks for making us #1 on that list for real estate podcasts to follow. Thanks for hitting subscribe in our YouTube channel, and thanks for being awesome. Look for the next part of wholesaling, and I'll see you there.